Weller Antique 107, arguably one of the best wheated bourbons out there on the market, especially at the 107 proof. Not super high, not super low, it's like nice in that middle range, really tasty stuff. But it's a Buffalo Trace product, and as with like any product that comes from the Buffalo Trace distillery, the main problem is it can be really hard to find. When you do find it, it can be super overpriced. I think it's delicious, but I don't think I'd pay more than retail price for it. That's just me personally. So today we are going to try to find a replacement. We're gonna do a blind tasting so that we can see if anything is better while removing the bias, removing not knowing what it is that I'm tasting in this blind tasting. Let me very carefully drop the cover to my solo blind on the ground. So, I wanted to mention, I have a little bit of a checkered past with Weller 107. When I first tried it, I was very disappointed. I don't know if, this was a long time ago, I don't know if it was just like a little bit high of a proof for me, which probably influenced things a little bit, but it has always had this little bit of an acetone flavor to me. It's always had just a little tiny bit of like how nail polish remover smells, a little bit of that taste in Weller Antique 107. So for a long time, I didn't really like it that much. Over time, I slowly started to like it a little bit. Let me write this down real quick, Weller 107. Over time, I started to like it a little bit more, and then I did some blind tastings where I put it up against the other Wellers, I put it up against other wheated bourbons, and then I started to really gain respect for it. It was one of those where I think it let me down in the beginning, but as I tasted it with more stuff, I really started to enjoy it. So now I actually have a pretty good respect for Weller 107, but I want to find something to replace it. There are a couple that I think probably could replace it, especially if you're not able to find Weller 107. I feel like that was a drinking game there for a second, like drink every time I say 107. So sorry about that, I was rambling. But our first contender, I gotta quit talking about this so much, but the last video with this for a while, okay? I do love this bottle, I really do. Bardstown Bourbon Company Origin Series. This is their high wheat 106 proof bourbon. So it's 106 proof, almost the exact same proof as Weller 107. And it is 39% wheat, yeah, a ton of wheat, and 6 years old. This is one of their core expressions from the Origin Series over at Bardstown. And fun fact about this bottle, so this is one of those that I liked. I wasn't mind blown by it. I thought it was all right. And then after I had gained the respect for Weller 107 that I mentioned that I gained, let's move you out of the way. After I had gained that respect for 107, I had somebody comment about how Bardstown 106 is better than Weller 107. And I thought to myself, that seems like a little bit of a stretch. This is pretty widely available. So I did the blind tasting, and I have since done a couple of blind tastings, and it has won every time so far. So if it doesn't win today, that's gonna really stink because that's gonna ruin the winning streak. But what I've always found about it is a little bit more complex than Weller 107. Doesn't have quite as much of the candy sweet that 107 has, but it is definitely more complex, at least in the blind tastings I've done so far. So that is our first contender to beat Weller 107, Bardstown Bourbon Company, high wheat, Origin Series, 106 proof. Our next one is Maker's Mark. Let me grab it, it was kind of far away on the ground over there. Maker's Mark, 101 proof. This one, I have no idea what to expect from this one, okay? I've only had it a couple of times. But Maker's Mark in general, I never liked. So if you don't know, Maker's Mark is like one of the most famous wheated bourbons out there, right? If you Google like wheated bourbon, Maker's Mark is gonna come up, probably Weller's gonna come up as well. But one of the most famous ones out there. And I was never a particular fan of Maker's Mark. I always loved Maker's Mark number 46, but not just normal Maker's Mark. Well, later, I think it was actually when I went to visit the distillery, I had more of their higher proof stuff. I had the cask strength. I might have had the 101. Definitely had Maker's 46 cask strength. The higher proof stuff I liked quite a bit more. So I don't know if it's just that there's a little bit of impurities and flavors that kind of come out when it opens up, when it's proofed down a little bit. I'm trying to get like the exact same amount if you're wondering what I'm doing. I'm trying to get very similar levels in these glasses. I don't know if that's what the cause is, but the higher proof stuff I really tend to enjoy. This one is usually a limited release, only comes out like once a year, I wanna say, but you can find it. I found it at the store, no problem, back when it came out around Christmas time. And it is close to the same proof as Weller 107. 101, 107, I mean, that's close enough that I shouldn't probably be able to tell in this blind tasting. I don't think I will, at least. Maybe you can, but proof, plus or minus 10 proof points, I'm usually not able to tell. Okay, why did I put these? I put one of them, the bottle in the back, the rest of the bottles in the front. Okay, there we go. So, Maker's Mark 101, basically Maker's Mark bourbon, cranked up to 101 proof. That's the main idea there. I definitely, last I remember, enjoyed it more than normal Maker's Mark. So we'll see if it's a contender. I don't even know what to expect from this one. So this is one of those nice curveballs where in the blind tasting, I'm gonna have no idea which one is which, probably, because we got this curveball and we've got this curveball that I've only had a couple of times. We've got Green River Full Proof Wheated Bourbon. Now, if you don't know, Green River's Wheated Bourbon, not this bottle, this is just a little sample bottle that they sent me. Green River's Wheated Bourbon won Bourbon of the Year, I think. I put it in my notes over here. Best bourbon in the world in the 2025 New York Wine and Spirits competition. That's a big award. That's for the normal 90 proof version of this, okay? This is the full proof version that they came out, I think, after they won that award. Yeah, it had to have been after they won that award. So this, even though it says full proof, I know other brands use it to mean other things. This is cask strength. And even though it is cask strength, it's only 109.3 proof. So it's actually very close to the rest of these. It's not super duper high proof. So I thought it'd be really good to put up against Weller 107 specifically. I haven't had this very much. When I did have it, I absolutely loved it. If you don't know me, I am a fanboy for Green River, especially their wheated expressions. Especially, even the non-wheated full proof, I'm a very big fan of as well. So I tend to really enjoy Green River stuff. I can't even really remember what specific flavor notes I got from that. So hopefully that helps throw off the tasting a little bit. I won't really be able to pick out which one is this. And this is Green River Full Proof. Not to be mistaken with normal Green River Full Proof. This is Green River's Wheated Full Proof, which is a different expression. The other one has rye. This one has wheat. If you want to see the tag that I'm putting in there, there it is. Now we are going to mix these up. Now they're scrambled. Now we don't know which is which. That was a lot of talking. That was a lot of introducing the bourbons. Now we're getting down to brass tacks. This is the fun part. What do these taste like? I'm gonna put the bottles off to the sides. We've got $50 for the Green River Wheated Full Proof. We've got $40 for the Maker's Mark 101. We've got $50 for Bardstown High Wheat Origin Series 106 proof. And we've got $50 or $60 for Weller Antique 107, depending on where you're at. I'm gonna go through with the nose first. So let's just nose each individual one. Very sweet. I feel like the first nose, this is the first I'm drinking of anything today. The first nose, these are all gonna be candy sweet bourbon because they have that wheat in them. That's definitely candy. I mean, that is almost candy enough that I'm like, it's gotta be one of these two, but I could be wrong. This one leans a little bit more into oak, for sure. A little bit more dry. Maybe even a touch of like a tobacco. More burnt sugar, less white sugar. That's interesting, okay. And then we've got this guy. I should have gone in the other order for you guys. I'm going left to right for me, so I'll fix that moving forward here. But this one, a little bit back to candy sweet, but still cinnamony, still a little darker, okay? And last but certainly not least, this one's very candy sweet. I feel like, just gut reaction, I feel like these are Bardstown and Weller. I don't know which is which, but I feel like that is the case. Oh, that made my nose itch, that last one. Okay, so I'm gonna call these A, B, C, D for you guys. So this one is A, and if I had to guess, I'm gonna say it's either Bardstown or Weller. I think it's time to officially taste these. We'll go from A down to D. That last nose just now, A is like opening up a little bit with the air. It's got a little more oak all of a sudden. That was interesting. Okay. Oh, good. All right, whatever that is, that's tasty. By the way, I always like to mention, we're using the Stay Sober jug. If you're wondering why I'm cutting so much, I'm cutting out my spitting of the whiskey. I do swallow a little bit at the end to get a good finish, make sure that I know what the finish is like on that. Very sweet right away, oaky, a little bit of candy. Honestly, darker than I expected based off of the nose. Almost like off the bat, this is the first whiskey I've sipped today, so give me some grace. But off the bat, it was almost a little bit nutty, which I was not expecting from the nose at all. So that was a curveball. This guy's starting to smell a little bit more sour as it's getting some oxygen. B is. B is super different from A. It is much more burnt sugar, little tobacco, little sour fruit even. Okay, these all have pretty distinct personalities. Let's move on to C. This is just a gut reaction. I promise you I'm gonna dive in a lot deeper. This is not gonna just determine our winner off the first sip. Oh. C was much sweeter and nicer than I expected. Almost leans towards like a creamy sweetness. A little bit of that candy. I haven't noticed, maybe this is my palate today, I haven't noticed the distinct Twizzler note that I tend to get from Antique 107. We'll see if it's gonna show up. I actually usually get it from both of these. I just get it way stronger in Antique 107. We'll see if it's gonna show up. Maybe I just need to get my palate warmed up a little bit. Who knows? There it is. These are all wheated bourbons. These all have the possibility of having that Twizzler note. I'm gonna say this is probably one of these two, I think, because it's strong, it's candy. I love that flavor, actually. Really tasty. Okay. I think what is best for you and for me is for me to do a lot of back and forth and come back to you with my thoughts. So I'll just fast forward all of it. I apologize, you're gonna see a little bit of the Stay Sober jug. That's the best I can do. So while you're just watching that little fast forward clip, for you it's gonna be a couple Mississippis. Do me a favor, subscribe, like, ring the notification bell, and comment down below. What blind tastings would you like to see me do? What do you want me to put against each other? Let me know, because I will do them. I love blind tastings. This is one of my favorite forms of content to do because I think I learn so much, you learn so much, it's fun, it's unbiased. Let me know what you want me to do more blind tastings of down in the comments below as I fast forward this. Cheers. Okay, here's what's weird. So, I think this one has that Twizzler flavor more than any of the other three, which makes me think it's the Weller 107. What's weird is none of these are really reminding me of Bardstown. So I don't know if my palate's a little bit different today. None of them are giving me that normal kind of candy sweet, but so far, this is just off the cuff. I don't have these all ranked yet. What I have for sure is that B so far seems to have the least body. That would lead me to believe that it is the cheapest and lowest proof, Maker's Mark 101. I could be wrong about that. A has a ton of body, ton of complexity, a lot going on. Very sweet, but also a little bit floral, a little bit perfumey almost. A little kind of a candy, but not like a Twizzler. Almost like, weirdly enough, almost like a blue raspberry or like something, it just reminds me of blue raspberry. But you get what I'm getting at. That kind of a weird sweetness. Maybe some burnt sugar on top of that. A little bit of a tobacco almost. Just lots of complexity going on in A. D, like I said, Twizzler, some of that acetone. Makes me think it's Weller 107, but I could be wrong because it could very well be the Bardstown. And for some reason the Weller 107 is not tasting like I remember. That could also be the case. Both of these to me are usually very candy sweet, which brings me to this guy, which is sweet. Not so far, not quite as complex as A. So C isn't quite as complex as A yet. We're gonna see if it opens up a little bit as I continue tasting all of these. That may be the case. It might just need a little bit of air. We'll see. I'll agitate a little bit. But so far, this is These are phenomenal. I would say we're very, unless this one has a big comeback, we're very neck and neck and neck with these three. B so far would need to have a pretty strong comeback, and maybe it will. Who knows? Especially, you know, sometimes pro tip when you're tasting, this one has a ton of body, right? A does. If I go from A to B, sometimes B won't taste quite as good because A has so much body. But then if I take a break and taste B by itself, it's actually phenomenal. It's just having a bad reaction to the other whiskey I'm tasting. Kind of like a bad cigar pairing, if you think of it that way. So I am cautious of that. I am going to think of that moving forward here in case that is the case. But neck and neck. I mean, three really delicious, really sweet, really approachable for the proof point bourbons. Really tasty. Okay, more fast forwarding. Don't forget to subscribe, or I'll just cut this part out. I don't know. See, that is really tasty. That's gonna be a problem. That even tastes a little bit candy-like, a little bit Twizzler. B. I'm tasting B. If you didn't notice that, that would lead me to believe it might be Bardstown, which came out of the gate with the least amount of body, which is weird. Unless this one has less body. Let's see. C leaves a little bit of a stale flavor. That reminds me of something a little younger. Something a little slightly lower shelf. I'm gonna take a guess. Just for fun. Maybe I'll make a fool out of myself. I don't know. I think this one is Weller Antique. I think D is Weller Antique. So we're gonna switch these bottles around to match up to what I think. Ironically, I think these two might be in the right spot already. All right, I really need to drill down and compare B and C, I think. Because they both smell really nice. They really do. I think B caught a bad rep because it was coming after A. Okay, now I'm going to get a finish from each of them. I just swallowed some of A. And it gets a little stale on the finish, a little bit bitter. But man, there's so much flavor. There really is. Let's wash out with water. Let's learn from our mistakes, not go straight to B. Wash the mouth out a little bit. Now B. Wow. It's definitely more mellow, but it's so sweet. Oh, this is tough. Okay, let's jump into C right away. Okay, I think B is better than C. C is a little bit more one-dimensional, not too many different flavors, not quite as much flavor, and then on the finish, a little bit bitter. Okay, I think C is probably in last place. D, it's got that sweetness. On the finish, not a lot happening. A little bit of that acetone flavor. I would say a couple of these have that though. I'm attributing that to it just because I've decided, I don't know why I did this. Why I do this in my brain. I took a guess that it was Weller 107. I shouldn't have done that. Because now I'm just attributing stuff to it. But definitely a touch one-dimensional. Definitely better than C. So C, I'm going to pull it closest to me. That's the most one-dimensional, I would say. I don't know between B and D which one I like more, but I think I like A the most. One more, for good measure. Boy, this one, this went straight down to the wire. I tasted A, I'm like, that's first place. I tasted B, I'm like, that's first place. I tasted A, I'm like, no, that's first place. Here's where I'm landing. I'm gonna put A in first place by like a razor's margin. These are also pretty different tasting. And I'm gonna say, if barrel is sometimes overwhelming to you, like oak char is sometimes overwhelming to you, you're not, like A's not gonna be your winner. But it just has so much flavor, it's gotta be my winner. So, reverse order here. First, second, third, fourth, so we're gonna reveal this one first. In fourth place, tasty, approachable, sweet, generally nice, but not a lot of different things going on. In fourth place, Maker's Mark 101. I feel pretty good about that. Okay, that's great. That means that bottle's in the right spot. In third place, okay, I promise I didn't even drink that much, but I spit the vast majority of this tasting out. In third place, very tasty, very candy sweet, like super candy forward. Reminds me of Twizzler. Might remind you of a different type of candy, but something like that. Something that's not a sour candy with just a tiny bit of a sourness, just a tiny bit, and then a little bit of acetone. My guess is Antique 107. Let's see if I'm right or wrong. Weller 107. Oh, am I gonna go 4 for 4? I never go 4 for 4 on my blind tastings. Okay, Weller 107. Makes sense. Really sweet and approachable. And let me just stop for a moment to say, because I'm looking for replacements for Weller 107, right? Here's the thing about 107 that's so specific to it. And I get this across the Buffalo Trace lineup, which is what I think makes them so popular. They all have a different type of a candy sweet approachability that's really, really nice. And they don't do a lot other than that. Like, they're not extremely complex. So if you specifically want that, the Weller 107 is going to be your best bet. But if you're having trouble finding it, in second place, we're pretty similar to it. We have a very similar candy sweetness. We have a little bit of other stuff going on that I would say makes it a little bit more complex and also makes me think it is the Bardstown High Wheat. Green River Foolproof. Oh, okay, all right. I'm not 4 for 4. Okay. Green River Foolproof tasted more candy sweet than the Bardstown High Wheat. I guess I don't know this bottle as well as I think I know this bottle. So that would mean in first place, smelling more oaky than I ever remember it tasting, we've got the Bardstown High Wheat. Now, I may have been wrong about which one was the Bardstown, but I am correct about the fact that it bodied these other 3 bottles. Such a tasty bottle. I promise I'm gonna postpone talking about it for a little while because I've been talking about it a lot. So just to recap in order, we've got the Bardstown, which is evidently a little bit darker or more oaky than I remember it being, and a little bit more oaky than Green River in second place. After Green River, we've got in third place the Weller Antique 107, and then in fourth place Maker's Mark 101. This was a fun one. I appreciate if you stayed all the way to the end, or maybe you skipped here to see what order everything came in. But hey, if you're still watching this, please consider going and checking out the Whiskey Noobs crew down in the description below. You're gonna get first access to all my barrel picks. We've got some delicious ones coming out. As of the recording of this, I just sold out of the Old Elk, which was so tasty. We got more good ones coming out too. You're also going to get access to every single review every bottle that I'm sent for review. You're going to get access to those reviews where I don't have an algorithm to appease. I am just giving you my honest opinions. So check that out. There's a bunch more other cool stuff. There's merch depending on your category. You get really cool stuff. Please go check that out. And if you can't, I totally understand. Even signing up for the free, by the way, the free tier, you'll still at least get a heads up on barrel picks. So you might want to do that. But if you can't do that, if you don't want to do that, I totally understand. Please comment down below what tastings you want me to do, what blind tastings you want to see in the future. Subscribe, ring that notification bell. Thank you guys all for watching Whiskey Noobs.